It's the last.
Yo, what's good, man? It's Stephen and Rush each and every Wednesday, 7 to 8,
Ooh,
Dawn
got
and
it right.
Rainbow on the Evening Rush Network. I got my bombs back. I'm feeling a certain type of way right now. Appreciate it. What's going on, New York City? Got a great guest in the building. It's gonna be a great day today, man. Yo, what
Yes,
you
it
thinking
is.
about, Rainbow? What you thinking about?
I'm just thinking about life in general.
Life is a beautiful thing, man. The ups,
It
the
is,
downs,
but it is tricky.
you know what I mean? The things we go through in life and the things we have to fix and the things we have to make
Have to
sure
go
get
through.
done. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, what I can say, shout out to all the positives. What up, my queens? I see you on the check-in. It's crazy because one of my queens is in the building, so I don't understand.
I'm always in
What
the
up? What
building.
up?
I'm
Yo,
always here.
so I'm just gonna start off by saying happy anniversary to the wife. I appreciate you. Our anniversary was yesterday, 8 years. So I'm starting off the show
Ooh,
by saying
yeah.
thank you. Thank you for the wonderful eight, the ups and downs of
The
the eight.
great eight.
Yeah. So, let's see if we could do a bunch of years more.
Only up from here.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Shout out to Mayor de Blasio.
Mayor de
Unfortunately, our
Blasio.
guest is on the West Coast, so you don't get this New York fun. But he announced that city workers will have to
Have to get vaccinated or have
either
to
get
be
vaccinated or get
or tested
tested
once a week.
once a week. I said it was going to happen. Y'all told me no, it wasn't. He can't force us to do anything because of our union. Yo, I don't understand where y'all think y'all at, man. Y'all work for that man. Y'all funny to me, man. Enjoy
I
y'all
mean,
work, baby.
well, he is not. He cannot make them get vaccinated. What's happening is if you're not vaccinated, you just got to get swabbed once a week.
Yo. See, that's the thing, though. And that's the part that just didn't sit right with me. Was the fact that they all kept saying, "Oh, our union is gonna stop them from doing this, that, and the third. Um, we're not gonna have to do this, that, and the third because of that." And I kept saying, like, "Yo, end of the day, y'all work for New York City. So because you work for New York City, if that man tell you this is what you got to do, this is what you're gonna have to do. Your union can say whatever they want, but at the end of the day, you're gonna do what he asked, and that's what he's asking now. You're not gonna just run up in these buildings and infect people like it's nothing.
I
You know what I mean?
mean, they
COVID is
should have.
serious.
That should have been happening though. They should have been stating that New York City workers had, like, city workers had to at least get tested. Like, I mean, at least twice a month or something. Simply because y'all are working with the public all the time, and if y'all are around people all the time, it's for your benefit and for their benefit. It's not just something for them and them only. It's for you too, because you're around people too. Hey, Envy. You around people too, so you want to make sure that you don't got it. Somebody didn't give it to you.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Shout out our guest, Rainbow, because I don't want to chop her name because she's a sweet person, and I definitely don't want to mess that up.
Wait a minute. Why don't we let her introduce herself so neither one of us mess it up?
I like that idea. For a fact, I like that idea.
No one can say it better than she says it. It is her name, and let her be.
And first of all, she has a great podcast, by the way. So
She
we
does.
definitely gonna be getting into all of that today. So introduce yourself, wonderful guest, like we know you can.
All right. My name is Zenashe, and I will now unfold the story behind that name and the lessons that it holds. 20 years ago, I worked my way through college ed. Waitressing, I paid the bills, 3 jobs in
Mm,
all. I bled. A day arrived so full of strife, coworkers craved the pill that kept a smile upon my face when they all wanted to kill. What are you on that gives you rest? I need some of your zen, they stressed. I smiled
mm,
and just confessed my faith is all I need. Fast forward 10, and once again, a day arrived with rage. And in the midst of chaos, others marveled at my grace. Hung around, embraced my calm, my total centeredness. Again, they intoned Zen you be, but I did not see that in me until I embraced my destiny. I had to give in. It took me 20 years to see the purpose of my life, to calm and soothe and to inspire, to dim effects of strife. Ashe came next, a word that means so be it, like amen. Yoruba in origin, it bonds me to lost kin, yet deeper still, like
mm,
Shayla, written in the Psalms, it means be still and meditate. On what you read, ponder long. Yet, even more, it means my words exhale with force. They live, they breathe, they change the world, they alter my own course. A writer and a poet, this name states my destiny to exhale living, breathing words that change humanity, that encourage people to consider truth and challenge them to grow, because at the end of everything, self knowledge must unfold. And so now you know my purpose and you
Mm,
understand my plan. You have just entered the state of Zen. Never be the same again.
mm.
that's what I'm talking about.
Let that poetry ring, girl.
You
Thank you.
see,
Thank you.
That was beautiful. And I just
Thank
want to say,
you.
when I was reading your bio and it came up, and I was like, this sounds like someone who is never frustrated.
you sound happy. You
And
sound
when
at peace.
and she's saying that her coworkers and everybody else was all frustrated, and she's just like, I'm smiling because it is what it is. I'm like, maybe she is never frustrated. And I'm like, I want
Mm-mm.
to get to that level because I feel like I'm always frustrated at work.
Well, I can't say I'm never frustrated, but I do. There's a book called The Metu Netter. And one of the
Mm.
basic premises is that we were created in peace and our natural state is peace. And if we remind ourselves of that, we can just let everything kind of flow through us. I'm kind of reminded of the TV show. My mind went blank, but it was the one about the HBCU that was a spinoff from the Cosby Show. And I cannot think of the name, A Different
A
World.
Oh,
different
a
world.
different
And
world.
there was
Yeah.
that relax,
Friends.
relate, release.
Oh,
and
I
Yeah,
know
and
what
that
with
was
you're
me.
the
talking
mantra
about.
for many people, for years and years and years. When you got into a frustrating situation, relax, relate, release, you know
Really?
right. So I kind of try to be in that vibe all the time and remind
Gotcha.
myself that it's my natural state to be at peace, because nature, you know is almost always peaceful except when it's storming. So it's just very peaceful all the time. We have that peaceful vibe, and that's our natural state. So
And see, that's the thing. I try to stay at that peaceful vibe,
So I'm
and
pleased.
it's just always moved. It's always moved, and I don't get it. Like, just leave him alone. Let him do what he do. He's a very beautiful person. Let him stay at that place. But
It's
people
because
will
the
not allow
devil
that
is
to
hard at
happen.
work, and
Yes,
you can't
every
let
day,
the devil win.
every day, every day, every day. But before we get into this great interview, just real quick, Rainbow, shout out those sponsors.
All right. Our sponsors are The Gallery, which is on every Tuesday on CaribbeanPowerJams.com from 7 to 9. TL Mac Fitness, who also has a show on the Evening Rush Network, the TL Mac Fitness Show with Roz every Thursday from 8 to 9. Plush Vodka, if you're looking for gluten free vodka, Plush Vodka is your vodka. Stains by Butter, she does all the apparel for the Evening Rush Network, all the shows on the network. Plush Apparels LLC. If you're anywhere in Greensboro, High Point, North Carolina, go and get yourself some plush apparel. Gear Up on J Mac Lane. She also has some Evening Rush gear and she also does customization of different things. She also has Avon. She also has a show.
Mary Kay.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was Avon. Mary Kay. She also has a show on the Evening Rush Network every Tuesday from, is it from 5 to 6?
It's from
Or
6 to 7.
6 to 7.
Getting to the focus.
Called Getting to the Focus. Also, if you're looking for any type of community service, our girl CW, A Cause, a Concern, a Solution Network Inc. If you're looking for any type of party decor, treats, anything, this woman will hook you up. Envious Creations also has a show on the Evening Rush Network, the Queens of NYC podcast. Catch us Monday on the Evening Rush Network from 7 to 8. If you're looking for a tarot reading, a life coach, you need read a really good book, Martine Felton. Those are our sponsors, people.
MartineFelton.com.
At MartineFelton.com, you can get all of that you need from Martine.
Yeah, so shout out to all our sponsors. Once again we have great sponsors. Please check them out. You could go to any of their Instagrams. Yes, any of their Instagrams to get any information that we have not given you. So definitely check them out. She said awesome, Rainbow.
Yeah. I know, that's why I did a thumbs up. Thank you, MD.
So let's go back to our guest. I'm just gonna call you Ms. Zen. Yeah, because I'm not gonna chop up that amazing name.
Ashe.
Yeah, we know me though. So yeah.
Yeah, Don's gonna mess everything up.
Yeah, Ms. Zen. First we was going over the bio, so we checked out all the great things about you. And one, I want to, because I got a lot of time here. So I want to get on one is the poetry. You was doing multiple spots. You've done a lot with poetry, and as you opened up the show with a great poem. Tell us about that.
I was blown away. I thought you were just gonna start speaking, and then she started a whole poem. I'm like back here, like, yes.
Yeah.
Could have snapped my fingers to that bad boy.
Yeah, I needed that one. At that point in time, I did need the snaps, and I got to get that now. That's something new I got to get.
Thank you. So you said you wanted to ask me about the poetry, you said?
Yes, tell us about your poetry. What led you to wanting to do poetry?
Well, I've been writing since I was a kid, so I've written my whole life. But about 6 years ago, my teaching career got extremely stressful. And so I was what, a lot of poets call it page poets. I just wrote on the page. I had been published here and there, but I had never performed. I was very intimidated by spoken word performers. But, I talked to my mom about it, and she was like, why would you be intimidated? It's your words. You memorize other people's words. You sing songs all the time. You know all the lyrics to the songs you sing. So why do you think you couldn't memorize your own work? And so I was like, okay. And I was dating somebody at the time, and he was really he really wanted me to get out there more. And so I went to my first spoken word show with Seven. You guys might have heard of him. He's a pretty famous poet nationally, very famous in Houston. So it was actually his show. And that was my first performance on one of his Poetry Lounge Sundays. And the guy I was dating at the time, he came out, he was so hyped. The audience was so hyped. It was seeing them and seeing him. It was like, oh, okay, I need to do this more because this has a huge impact. People are they're really touched, and they're really, so definitely. It was definitely addictive. And so that was kind of, and then I realized for the first time in a long time when I left the stage, it was kind of like when you're an athlete and your coach tells you to leave it all on the court. It's like whatever you're going through, you leave it all on the court. You take it out on that ball. You take it out on the opponent. Well, it was kind of the same thing with the stage. And I had not had that feeling since I left sports of just leaving it all out there and leaving. And you just feel like you've been cleansed. You feel like everything in you has just been gone. Like you just come out and you feel completely refreshed. So I was like, okay, I need to do this on a regular basis because this is really, it gives me life. And so that's kind of how the poetry came. And then I guess I'd been performing maybe about a year and a half on open mics. And I went to this one open mic, and the owner came up to me and he said, I really love your poetry. Would you create a show for me? And I said, yes, give me a month. I had never done my own show before, but I had been collecting. My mom was an entrepreneur. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. So I learned networking just by osmosis. So I had been collecting numbers for a year, you know. Thank you. Hey, Martine. She was on my podcast. So I've been
Oh,
collecting numbers for like a year, and I just started calling people up. Hey, I need a DJ. I need somebody to do a flyer for me. I need a co-host. I need somebody with really hype energy because I'm kind of chill. I want us to have that balance, So they were like, call this person, get this person. And then everybody I called to perform, everybody but one said yes. And that was our first show. And it was just a hit. So I just did a sold out show last Friday. We did a sold out show,
nice.
yeah.
Where
And
at?
so we've been, yeah, thank you. We've done, that was our 61st show.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah. So
So,
we've
Where do
done,
you
so if
usually
you
host
touch
these
this,
shows?
guy,
what do I do? What'd you say?
Where do you usually host them?
They have been all over Houston. One place was called the Dollar Hookah Lounge, Showtime Bar and Lounge. I just did one at the Key. Where else? Fire and Flare Lounge. I mean, there's been probably 2 other venues that I'm leaving off. I can't remember. Oh, I did the Isles. We did a really big show at the Isles. We had about 240 people. My biggest show was 274. We did a plus size fashion show with poetry, comedy, and music.
Yes.
And my co-host, she has this fashion brand called Chunky Larger Than Life. And yeah, so her models were fire and people came out to see them, and it was really great. So we combined the poetry, music and comedy with the fashion. So yeah, so it's all
shout
over
out to
Houston.
Twin.
Yeah.
Shout out to Twin. He's saying he loves Houston, so he definitely will be
He
checking
said he'll
out
be in
any shows
Houston
y'all do
soon
out there.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah, we definitely
I'm going
got
to
to link
Texas
up with
and I'm going
your
to Texas
co-host.
in August, but not in Houston. I wish I was in Houston. I'll be in Dallas.
Okay, they have poetry spots in Dallas too. Dallas, Austin, Houston. Those are like kind of the poetry, the big spots.
Mm.
Definitely will. Yeah, I was gonna say you should make your way to Dallas, knock that show out, cause Rainbow gonna bring that crowd with her, that New York energy. So, what was the name of your partner again? I'm sorry, I missed it. You said Chunky Monkey.
No.
No, Chunky Larger Than Life is
Chunky Larger Than
the
Life.
brand
Okay.
of my co-host, Kay Jones. She's a singing comedian. So she actually has a single out there called Fairy Tales, but she's also a comedian. And so she's my co-host when we do the poetry, comedy, and music shows. And she also is a model, plus size model. And so she has her own, in a sense, brand where she has like clothing with her brand on it. And also she organizes fashion shows with fashion designers that cater to plus size women. Because I'm plus size, she's plus size, So
I wouldn't tell you
they don't have enough. Like models are usually supposed to be paper thin and no curves of any sort. Plus size women need love too.
yes.
Yeah, definitely. That was yeah, because you know what I want to say, because I'm trying to not do too much, but I gotta always do too much, because the whole thing about it is
What?
when you have all these great shows that you're doing, multiple act, you took a break because of COVID, you started your own podcast, which is by far like number 25 on Bill what is it, SoundScan, which is amazing, by the way.
Okay, you got to tell me that again because I didn't even know that status. Number 25 on what?
SoundScan, by the way.
SoundScan.
So,
I'm gonna
yeah.
have to look that up. Awesome, thank
Yeah, so
you.
which is amazing.
Wow. I wasn't
Wow.
paying attention. I was just doing it to do it.
No, I mean, I was doing it for, the podcast came out of me losing all the shows. The shows all went away. And I just told you guys how important they had become for my mental health.
Right.
And by the time I started performing 6 years ago, so by the time, quarantine hit last year, I had been performing 5 years almost every week. And so it was part of my just
Right.
part of my lifestyle. So for
Yeah.
many performers, it was almost like a death when all the shows are gone. You don't have any stages to hit. And so I'd also had in the last 6 years 10 deaths in my family. So I was already in a state of grief, and then the shows were gone, which were really helping me cope.
Well, time out. Hold up. We're not
Yeah.
gonna walk over that. You just said you had 10 deaths from in a COVID situation.
No, this was
In the
prior
past
to COVID.
6 years.
Okay.
In the last 6 years, the same 6 years that I had started performing, because of my teaching stress, my mother died, my father
I'm
died,
sorry to hear that.
my grandparents. I've been married twice. Both sets of in-laws died.
Wow.
And my son's best friend committed suicide.
Wow.
So so all of that together, and my ex-husband also died. So that was the man who raised my kids. You know, we were married for 11 years, but he was in their life since they were 7, and he died 2 years ago. So they're 26 now. So he was in their life for 17 years as the only real father that they ever knew. So I was just in the state of grief, and then performing was helping me cope with everything. And then it was gone. And of course we have all this unprecedented chaos, going on. Everyone's going through that. And so what I did was I kind of went inside and I said, well, what do I still have that, death hasn't taken away from me? Quarantine hasn't taken away from me. The uncertainty in the economy hadn't taken away from me. Trump hadn't taken away from me.
Answer my question. That was my question coming, which was,
So
through all of this stuff that you've been through, and you have all this positive energy.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Because I need some of that.
Right.
I need some zen.
Thank you.
I need some zen energy.
What I decided, I have a planner that I use.
And she still has such positive, you've had so many negative things happen to you, but you still have such good positive energy. And it's hard. It's hard to go get through that.
Right.
Through stuff like that. So we just want to know how you manage to continue to have such positive energy.
That's where my head is right now.
Thank you. That's what I did was I took out my planner and I started going A to Z, and I started listing all the things that I still had. I had the ability to adapt. I had an abundance of things that I still had in my life. I had the ability to take action, so those were some of my A's. I had accountability. I did take accountability for myself. I had balance. I had boundaries. I had control of some things in my life. I had commitment. I had, a conscious mindset. I just started listing these. I had determination and, the idea of elevation. I wanted to elevate and evolve. So I just went A through Z. I just started listing all these things. And then what I started doing is I started thinking about all the things that helped me feel better. I started collecting songs. I started collecting movies. I started collecting books, audio books, physical books. So then I actually created this idea. I was like, if this is helping me, and I'm realizing I'm using all these things to cope, and I feel stronger by actually cataloging all these things and seeing, oh my gosh, I've got 100 things or whatever that I can actually rely on that are not, that it doesn't care. They don't care how much I weigh. They don't care how much money I make. They don't care if I'm black, white, green, purple. They don't care what religion I am, race, none of that matters. It's just things that I have. I was like, you know what? I could actually talk to people about this. I could do a podcast because people had said, oh, you have such a nice voice. You should do a podcast. And I was like, I know nothing about that. But here was a chance. Everybody's sitting down at home.
Figure it out.
Right. And I actually did take a podcasting class, which I never finished. It was like 45 modules. I did like the first 25. And I was like, I think I know enough. I'll come back to the rest later. Yeah. And so that's where the podcast came from. And Zenergy means the urge for more peace and fulfillment in life. And the whole idea is every week we take a different concept and we talk for 30 minutes about the concept and how it's really strengthening us, motivating us, helping us have fuel for life. That's what I call it, fuel for life. And then the other 30 minutes is about the guest, whatever they're doing, their business, their art, their music, so I've had all kinds of different people come on. And so people have really tuned in because it's inspiring, but it's not something you don't have to go out and, for example, like I said, buy something for this to work for you. It's inside of you. All you're doing is learning how to bring it out more. And we're, so I actually created journals to help people bring it out because they were like, I love the podcast, but I want to do what you did. I want to start collecting songs. I want to start collecting movies. I want to start collecting books. I want to do those journal prompts because I did a lot of journaling during that time. So I actually have 2 personal development packages that I've created that go with my podcast.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So, wow. You are amazing.
Thank you.
I just the fact that you can just say this positive is just it's just like
because like
it warms my spirit.
It's inspiring.
I'm like,
that's the words I'm looking for. And you've had Martine on your show, which is one of our sponsors. Shout out to Martine always.
She's not just one of our sponsors; she's family.
Yes, definitely. Some feedback.
Yeah, I recorded her episode, so she's live on my Facebook page. But my episode, because of quarantine, I banked like 8 episodes before I launched. So whenever I go live, it's actually 2 months before that episode jumps on the podcast, so that people can see it live that day. But it's about 8 episodes out before they'll see it on all the platforms that I have. So they'll just see it on Facebook and sometimes on YouTube if I go live on YouTube. So yeah, her podcast is going to be released soon. I think it's like 2. I think it's the second one that I'm getting ready to release.
Oh yeah, Martine Music is definitely out.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go to a commercial real quick, and we'll be right back. Okay.
Okay.
Looking to podcast shows and do not know where to start? The Evening Rush Network can help you with that. Call us at 929-441-2417 or email us at theeveningrushnetwork@gmail.com for dates and prices. We got you for all your podcast needs. The Evening Rush Network. Tune in, subscribe, and share.
Yo, and we're back.
Yeah.
We're talking about how can positive and negative energy change you. And we got Mrs. N in the building. I will not chop that beautiful name up. There's no way possible. You know what I mean? So we're talking about how can positive and negative energy change you. And there's a lot of ways.
I can do negative.
I'm going to start with I was going to say, let's start with the negative first.
I'm going to tell you,
and then we're going to head towards the positive.
At my last job, it was like, there was so much, I don't have the proper word for it. I'm just going to say negative energy at my last job. And it just made me very, when I'm at work, very like edgy. Like every time somebody would say something to me, I'd be like, what? What do you want? What do you need? What? And that's not the type of person that I am. But I was like, and that's why I had to quit. Martine, the universe told Martine to tell me to quit my job, and I quit.
You're going to keep saying that, right?
The card said, you got to let go of something old to get something new. I let go of that old job. I got me a new job.
So, Ms. Zen, what negatives do you feel change people, I should say?
Well, I think that there's a continuum. You have negative over here, you have positive over here, and it's a line, kind of like the number line that we have. And my goal is always to take that negative and move down the line to the positive. So I see for people, I know that a lot of people become bitter with things that happen to them. And that was something that at one point I feared because I just saw it happen to so many people. I know some people become discouraged and they get they just lose heart. They just become depressed. So I think that it definitely affects your mental state, negativity. I think that you have a lot of control, though, about, like, she made the choice to leave her job. But even if you can't necessarily leave your job, I still am at a job that is extremely stressful. I'm going to stay there for 4 more years. I've already made that decision because that's when my retirement
You
kicks
getting a
in.
pension?
Yes, that's when
That's
my
why.
pension gets, yeah.
Get that pension.
Right. That's when my pension is going to kick in. But what I do, there was a technique in this book that was called the vortex. And this was a very useful technique for me. And you draw like a circle, and then you make 12, sections like a clock.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put the negative thing at the top. Like, for example, I hate my job. All right. So you put that at the top, and then you move to the left of that or the right of it, whatever, direction you want to go. And then you put something a little less negative, like, my boss sometimes is a micromanager. That's less negative. And then you move. And then as you go around, you try to get less negative and less negative until you actually end up in the positive. And then when you come all the way back around, you end up generally, when you fill out the clock, having more positives that you found. Like, I really like my coworkers. I do have the option of taking some time off. You come up with these positive things. So when you look at the whole clock of your job, it's not you're just focused on the one negative thing that seems so looming to you. You can look at it and you can see all of these other aspects of the job that actually aren't so bad. I'm growing as a person. I'm developing.
What happens if everything in the job is horrible?
Well, if everything in the job is horrible, then you might leave. But generally, most people can find something that they can deal with, something that is inspiring or helpful. You could be developing your professional network. You could be getting mentored during that job. You could be learning a new skill. So they're even just the fact that you can pay your bills and maybe save up some money to get to the next spot in your life. So those are things. So that's something that I actually did when I was in some negative situations. I filled out that clock. So whenever I started getting really negative, I could go look at that little clock and say, okay, I can hold on a little longer because I got all these positives here. And then also I believe a lot in affirmations. I get up every morning. I listen to affirmations when I'm getting ready. Sometimes I listen to them as I'm going to bed at night. I believe in reading books, listening to audio books that are really positive. So I think you have to just really bombard yourself with positivity to combat the negativity, because there's so much negativity around us, so.
See, I'm a Cancer, so I believe firmly in, if it's negative, I have to leave it alone. Because it's
you have to find some positivity in the negative things. What you're saying.
No, I'm good. We'll cut that negative out my life, and we'll move on. I try to stay around positive people.
Well, why you stay around me? Because I'm negative. No, let me stop.
Nah, you're very positive. I try to stay away from negative people. So I try to keep positive people around me, people that can teach me. I don't know, as I've gotten older, I like to be that sponge. And I like to soak in all that positive energy from people. So the negative people, I once I feel the negative, it's like, okay, yeah, we'll talk later. And basically I just can't cut them off. But the bad point about it is it's so many little negative situations that you have the trouble with. Like there's, you know what I mean? You can't get a little negative situation to move. If I'm saying it correctly. There's like, you'll have one little situation here, one little situation here. They're negative, and you can't get rid of them, so you got to try to work your way through them. How do y'all feel about working your way through
them? You're going to have to do it. There's going to be negative energy around you no matter what you do. Even if you're a positive person, there are going to be negative people or negative things around you. But it's how you act to those negative things.
Because see, I have, like, for me, like you said, your job, I have a great job. I just have those little negative like certain supervisors, certain
Nah,
managers. Those are my negatives.
my entire
Um,
job was horrible.
nah, I
So
love
you
my
have to
job.
work. Look, you have if it were just like here and there, the customers were horrible. My manager was a micromanager. Sometimes my coworkers didn't want to work, and I felt like when I was at work, it was like everything was put on my shoulders. Like Ronisha handle it. Don't worry about it. She's there. She'll take care of it. And I'm like, well, why? Why is it me? I get it. I'm a good worker. I take pride. I always take pride in my job, but it shouldn't be left up to one person to take care of everything. Never.
And see, that's my thing. Like, it's the complete opposite. I go to work. I just don't want to be bothered. Like, just leave me in my to handle my business. I come to work not just for a paycheck, but to enjoy myself. That's where, like, to me, work is where my positive is. Like, I can get away from everything else.
Half the time you
So
spend most of your time at work anyway. Like
yeah,
if you have a full-time job, you spend more time at work than you do at home anyway.
facts. And you're around
That's
those
that,
same people
you have
every
to make
day.
your a work family because that becomes your family because y'all are together most of the time.
Yeah. So that's my to me that's my way. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm really messing up today. Anybody that want to call in, the number is 929-441-2417. 929-441-2417. Yeah. I'm yeah, definitely. See this
It,
that's that
yeah,
negative vibe from earlier
you have
threw me off.
look, but you have to breathe through it.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the thing. Like, I'm actually catching a lot of positive vibes from y'all. So that is what's making me come back. Like,
It's calming you
I'm
down.
coming back to the light. Yes,
It's not
I'm
from
coming
y'all.
back to the light.
It's from her
It's
because
from
it
Well,
ain't
her.
from me.
It ain't
one
from you.
thing I learned is that perspectives can change. Because when I look back at things that I thought were negative in my life, sometimes now I'm grateful that they happened
Hmm.
because
Mm.
of the growth or the change or because they just made me a better person. So I try to keep that in mind when I feel like something's negative right now. I try to say, okay, is there something I can learn from this? Is there a way I can grow through this? And let me just try to get the most out of this, even though I think it's negative. And also I think that there's seasons. We have spring, summer, winter, fall. That's nature. So in winter, everything is dying, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a negative. You
Hmm.
know, it's a
Mm.
time of rest. It's a time for you to recuperate. It's a time for you to pull back and reflect. So in nature, everything quiets down during the winter because it's cold in most places and you
Yeah.
have to move differently. So sometimes we have our summer, springs, winters, and falls in our lives, and we're in the winter and we're getting frustrated because it's winter, but we just need to okay, it's winter.
But
In
for
winter,
too
I need
long,
to
sometimes
reflect.
it's winter.
Hmm?
It's sometimes it's not winter for the 4 months. What is it? The 3 months that it's supposed to be. It's a little
Right.
longer. It's a little longer
You're
period.
right.
Sometimes you
Listen,
have to get through it.
I'd rather have my winter than this summer. I hate hot. Like, I'm going crazy
No,
right
no,
now.
I don't like winter because it gets dark too early, and that's depressing.
Yeah.
Not to me. I
It
love
is
the
to me.
darkness. I don't know. I love it the
I
darkness.
like to see light. I like to see the light. I don't have to necessarily be outside in it. I just like to see it. I like to look out my window and know that it's, you know,
It's
some
sunny.
type of light outside.
But
Wintertime.
when you're in the winter, what you can remind yourself is spring is coming. So whether we're talking
Mm.
about a literal winter or a figurative winter, that's one way that you can move through the negativity and say, okay, I'm in my winter right now, but I know spring is coming. I know that there's going to be some blossoming. I know there's going to be a
Hmm.
bounce back, a resurrection. So I can hold on. Like the old people used to say, I'm gonna hold on till my change come. So yeah.
I want.
That is actually a very good thought because when we are going through bad times, you just automatically just assume, is this ever going to end? It has to.
Yeah.
It's going to.
Yeah.
It will end.
That's like one of my favorite slogans, which is, you're going through the rain, you're going through the storm, and eventually the storm ends. You know. You depend on people to be your umbrella sometimes. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you got that umbrella. So eventually you're going to get through the storm. And majority of the times, once you get through the storm, the positivity that comes from it is amazing. It's not half, it's not some, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Shout out to Big U because this is one of his favorites. See, you see all the positive slogans coming through my head now. Big U he always talks about how God carries him through everything. And he's like the sands and the footprints. And, you know, he only saw one set of footprints when he was going through stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Then he realized that was God carrying him through it. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of positive slogans out there. Do we read on them? Do we pull them into us is the question. You know? So that's the main thing about everything. You have to find the in between. You know, with me, everybody says I only see black and white. There's no gray area. Mm-hmm. But I feel like there's always a gray area. It just seems like there's more black and white.
No, there's a lot of gray area.
There's a lot of gray area.
That's the whole thing, is that things aren't black and white. Like there is right and wrong, but there's also could it have been this? Could it have been that? There's usually always an in between with most situations. Like,
well, I mean, it depends on what it is, because you know.
I mean, it depends on the situation. Some things you just know right from wrong.
One way, and you want your man to see things another way.
There's always a middle ground. There should always be middle ground, even though you see things one way, he sees things another way. So how do y'all get to the middle ground, that gray area where y'all can compromise?
I mean, most of us good men, we just sit there and say, okay, babe.
Y'all don't compromise.
No, babe, you're right. That's it. That solves the problem. Leaves all the headache to go away. It's the most amazing feeling that she was right. She felt that she was right. Even though deep down, you know she was wrong.
When I hear from my man, you're right, I feel like you're patronizing me. I feel like he's patronizing me because clearly he doesn't think I'm right. He just wants to say what he thinks what I want to hear.
So you're just gonna automatically just say he's patronizing you because he's telling you.
You can tell if someone's actually like, you know what, you're right, or they be like, you right. Whatever.
I guess it depends on a facial expression.
No, it doesn't. It depends on the tone of voice.
I feel you're right. If you're right, you're right. Yeah, that's my favorite thing. You're right. Okay. Now can we move
Everybody knows. Look, if anybody that knows you, Dawn, knows your sarcastic voice, and that would have been it. And I'd have been like, shut up.
So, Ms. Zen,
yes.
Tell us more about your podcast.
Well, the first 2 episodes are just me by myself because I was figuring things out, and mm-hmm. You know, I didn't want to have any guests on till I kind of knew how to do things, and so now I actually have a videographer that comes in and does the whole thing. But at the beginning, I was in a studio. And so I was trying to figure out how to use everything in the studio. So, yeah,
but that would work for me. See, you're saying, like, I would feel like with a videographer, it's like you're not talking to yourself. That's my whole thing. Like, I'm like, I can't do a podcast by myself. I feel like there's no one to interact with. But at least if there's someone behind the camera, at least you might get a little, every once in a while, you know, you don't feel like you're talking to yourself.
Well, now I have guests on every show. Sometimes multiple guests. I've had up to 4 guests in the room. But the whole concept is, like I said, that anyone that tunes in, whatever we're talking about, they have inside of them. Like we did my last episode was elevation, the pursuit of excellence. You have the ability, anyone, to pursue excellence in your life. That is something that everyone can tap into. So it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter. No, none of the demographics matter because we all have that ability. So I was actually talking to a photographer, Latoni had not, who we were talking about just in general, the pursuit of excellence and trying to evolve and grow and elevate, and what is that and how do you go about that? And then also talking about him as a photographer and me as an artist. Where did we start and how have we evolved and how have we pushed ourselves to excellence? So that's kind of the way my podcast works. Is there's a concept, and I do flyers, so you can see whatever the concept is. And then we talk about that. We talk about what we think are keys to developing that, implementing it if you're not good at it, becoming better at it, books that we may have read on it, quotes that we may have heard on it, songs that relate to it, movies, and then just our own personal journey. Because I believe that everyone is a living, breathing role model. If you have something going right in your life, you can teach somebody else how to do that thing. I think we're all experts on what we overcame. And I've learned a lot from just listening to, well, how did you do that? How did you do that? So a lot of times people, my mom, when I was young, she gave me a Bible promise book. All right. When you feel depressed, read this. When you feel sad, read this. Now I've moved away from the church, but I love that concept. Whenever you're feeling this, go here. You know what I'm saying? And I love that whole idea of here's this collection that you can go to, and it's got all of these different answers for you. And I wanted my podcast to be like that. If you were struggling in a certain area, you weren't going to get some pie in the sky theory. You're going to get what somebody really did that worked. And you can take the nuggets from that and adapt it to yourself. Because for me, if you can't tell me how it really works in the real world, I'm not interested. I'm not interested about theories. I'm interested in how did you actually do it? How did it actually work? And that's inspiring to me, because if you can do it, I don't think you're that different than me. I can probably do some of what you did. I may not be able to do it exactly the way you did it, but I can do some of it. And I think that everybody that's listening can replicate some of whatever we're doing and be inspired by it.
Yeah. So I was looking at, first of all, I need one of these magnetic book clips that you have.
Yeah, I've got some. I actually have some so I can show your guests. This is a pack of 6 for $6. So they have different things. I think I'm holding them upside down. So they slide on the page. I have, they open up. This is a pack of 10 for 10. And I have packs of 5 that have affirmations on them. I actually have little smiley cards. They're like business cards, but they have inspirational sayings. You get it 10 for $5. I have all kind of keychains. Like this one says dream. I have colored ones too. And motivational bands. This one says dream. Oh, and I'm going to show you this.
One of those.
This is actually the goal setting package.
Okay.
So this is actually volume 1. And this is volume 2. But you get a whole pack. You get like the workbook. You get the journal, the blank journal. You get a motivational band. You get tabs for your journal. And I'll show you mine. This is what it looks like when it's finished. This is one page. So this is like the first page.
Wow.
So you have the journal prompts at the top. You have the place to put the song, the movie, the book, the affirmation. This is like your vision board spot at the bottom. So my first topic was abundance. So I had the whole earth, and you can see all the arrows. Those are ways that I could be impacted. Other people could impact me. And then you have, this is where you're going to put the person who's passed on that inspires you. That's Langston Hughes. Nice. So I put him on the abundance page because he was the first Black person, first Black writer to make a living from their writing. And then Oprah Winfrey, and this is the journal. Yeah. So you get a journal and you're going to tab your journal. And then you have, I wrote my answers to the prompts. And then I also have where I put notes about Langston Hughes and I put notes about Oprah Winfrey. So you can watch like YouTube videos or read a book about the person. And that's kind of how you go through it. So they're not long. The first one is 16 pages. So you can see this is like the next couple of pages. And the other one is 22 pages. So you got some food for thought on there. There's meditation prompts. There's goal setting prompts. There's personal development prompts. There's all kind of different things. So I actually have been journaling for 30 years. I never finished one journal because I got sick of them. because they kept asking me to do the same thing over and over and over and over again. And they were so long, they were like this big, you know? So by the time I did a month, I was like, oh, I'm so done with this. So I wanted it to be short. I wanted every page to be different, so that people didn't get tired of it and they didn't get overwhelmed, you know? So it was just enough, but not too much.
How did you come up with that concept? Because it's a beautiful one.
Well, it came with the podcast, because what happened was when I started doing the podcast, I started on October 11th. And by the time I got to December, I had a lot of people that were writing to me, like, you know, little comments or emails or whatever. And they were like, I really love this episode. I want to go deeper with this. Can you tell me what books you read? You know, more than what's on the podcast. I want something in my hands.
Right.
And I said, give me a couple of weeks. So I took all my journals. Literally, when I say I had been journaling from the shows shut down in Houston, March 16th, which was the day after the Ides of March.
Yeah.
So from March to July, all I did was kind of just journal and write and try to figure out what I was going to do. But during that time, I came up with this concept of Zenergy. And I was just writing and writing and writing and writing and writing. And then I started actually at the end of July, I started booking people for the podcast. And I recorded the first episode. I think it was like August the 30th or something like that. And then I released in October. But when you get volume 1, a lot of that's really me taking my journals and actually kind of modifying them a little bit, you know, so they're not super, super personal, but they are very, very transparent and putting it out there because people wanted to know, you know, what were you thinking? What were you feeling? And it's just really, like I said, I think you learn a lot from other people. So I put the questions that I asked myself, the questions that I was answering about how do I get from where I am and I'm stuck and I'm lost and I'm grieving to feeling better, you know? And so I put those actual questions down. And so that's how the books came to be. And so with volume 1, I actually did 5 workshops. Because I can do a 15-minute all the way up to a 2-hour workshop, depending on how deep people want to go. And I've actually had virtually and in person 1,000 people attend the workshops. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I sold out 2 printings of that. And then people were like, well, when volume 2 coming out? I was like, okay, give me till the summer.
Give me another couple of weeks.
Yeah. So I finished volume 2 July 4th. So yeah, so I'm gonna. So volume 1 is just A concepts, you know, like abundance, adapting, acceptance, you know, awareness, alignment. Volume 2 is more A concepts and B concepts. So we haven't even gotten to the C's yet.
Oh, so you're going to have like various.
I'm gonna have probably 24, one for each letter of the alphabet, but I'm probably gonna do them like every 6 months. You know. Yeah.
And how can they get this stuff from you?
Yeah, on my website, laughsandlyrics.com, LAUGHZAND lyrics.com/shop. You can actually get them there. You've got my name on the screen, Zenashe. So on Facebook, I'm Zenashe or Zenashe Poetry. You can also look up Zenergy. So if you send me an email, you know, you can order it on my website. You can order it. I do Cash App, Zenashe Poetry, PayPal, you know, so I'm constantly ordering and constantly shipping journals to people. And people they really feel like a lot of people told me it resurrected their goals. It really clarified their vision. It got them motivated again, got them inspired. It challenged them, you know, so that's kind of the feedback that I'm getting from what people have done with it. So.
That's amazing. What about this mantra of yours?
Yeah, the mantra is get Zen, stay Zen, spread Zen. That's my mantra. It's on some of my merchandise. I actually have a woman, you know, a Black woman with an afro, and she's kind of in that little pose, and she's sitting on top of Africa. And so, yeah, you could actually get T-shirts like that, totes. You know, I have that on my Laughs and Lyrics merch .com. So yeah, that it was get zen, get your head right. You have to get your head right. Everything starts with a thought. Thoughts become things. So if you look around you, you know, you got your logo. Where did that come from? It came from a thought. You thought it up in your head, then you created it. Everything that we see around, you know, this keychain, somebody thought up the keychain, you know, the cards that have slogans on them. Everything came from a thought. So your thoughts become things. So you have to get your thoughts right. You have to get your mindset right. You have to get your attitude right, your heart right. You know, so this starts here, getting zen. And then once you get zen, once you get in that peaceful place where your mind's right, your heart's right, you know, you got yourself together, then you have to stay zen. That means you have to create a life that actually works for you. You know, like I said, I get up and I listen to affirmations every day. You know, I get massages from time to time. Yeah. You know, I walk out in nature, you know, so you have to come up with those rituals that keep you at that point of staying zen, whether it's getting enough sleep at night, drinking enough water, you know, going to therapy, whatever you need to stay zen, that it's in that heart space, you know. So here, get zen. When I have my merch, is get zen is across the head, stay zen is across the chest, and then spread zen is across each hand. Because it's your job, I feel, that you need to impact those around you, whether it's your kids, your coworker, your family, your friends. Once you get yourself right, you should be spreading that positivity out and rippling out. And even with Zenergy, the tagline is enhance your life, impact your circle. So it's still that same idea of get yourself right and then, you know, impact the people around you. And so, yeah, so that's the mantra: get zen, stay zen, spread zen. That's something that I said at almost every show. And that was my challenge to the guest, to get their head right, get their heart right, get themselves in a state of staying at peace, you know, and then spreading that positivity, you know. So that was one of the goals of every show, to get people, I would say, come stressed, leave refreshed.
Amen.
And so when you leave refreshed, you need to go out there and take some of that goodness out to the world. And the same thing with Zenergy. The whole idea is you're coming and you're looking for things, but once you found it, don't keep it to yourself. Spread it out to other people. You know, give back what you got. You know, so that's the whole idea of Zenergy, that whatever I learned, I can pass on. Whatever my guests have learned, they can pass on. So it becomes a ripple effect. And that's why my logo is a little butterfly in the water, because a butterfly is a symbol of transformation. But the butterfly effect, one small change
can change everything.
It could change everything. So just one, that's the whole idea of Zenergy. You might listen to one episode and it might change your life. You might hear one thing a guest says and that one thing could change your life, because it's just, sometimes it's the smallest little things that ripple out, and we never know, you know, how we're impacting other people. So yeah, that's the mantra.
Well, you already know I was going to ask you before we leave. I would love for you to leave us with a poem, an amazing poem from you.
Okay. Well, I will give you this one. We were talking about negatives.
Well, we're going to talk about positives right now.
I know, but I'm going to talk about turning a negative into a positive. Okay. So, I'm single, and this is a story, a real thing that happened to me. I didn't say anything to the guy, but this is the poem that I wrote. Plenty of fish. Looked at his profile. He was sexy and fine. Got excited to meet him over a glass of wine. Walked into the place, stepped right through the door. A black Danny DeVito was smiling. So surprised, I looked to the side. He tapped me on my shoulder, said, "I'm your date for tonight." I stifled a cringe, studied his face for a clue. Where was the man from the pictures I knew, much shorter than me? Balding, ashy brown skin. He had the nerve to ask what I thought of him. I tried to be polite, avoid answering, but he pressed forward so clueless and asked yet again, "Sir, the problem is this, to be frank and true. You said you were 6'1". It looks more like 5'2". You boasted of fitness, but look stout and round. In fact, not a single detail from your pictures I found. I don't want to say more. I don't mean to be rude, but I've never seen nose hairs so boldly protrude. Your hair is all gray, not black. There are teeth that you lack, and surprisingly, there's hair on the top of your back. Your beard is unkempt. It looks moldy and old, and you smell slightly like Munster cheese or black mold. I came out for some wine, but have no appetite. I think I'll bid you adieu for the night. But before I depart, I must ask, be open. Can I have the name and number of your friend? Because it's obvious that you borrowed a picture from somebody you know. But I understand if you'd rather just go. A blind date does not mean that I cannot see, and it's pretty obvious you catfished me. Wasted my time, but not all is amiss. You inspired a poem, Mr. Plenty of Fish.
That had to be a horrible experience, though.
It was very shocking. I met this guy at Chili's. I walked in. Everything was as I described it. I was really stunned. And I told him, I just cannot stay because I feel like you deceived me. I went out to my car, sat in my car and called my co-host, Lady K, I already mentioned. I said, I just got catfish. And she said, no. I said, yeah. She said, was he fine online? I was like, girl, yes. She said, looked at his picture. He was sexy and fine. I was like, oh, I got to get off the phone. I sat there and I wrote that poem in the car before I left. So we were talking about taking a negative and making it positive.
You made it positive.
Negative situation. I left, as you said. Thank you, Tony. I left, as you said. I extricated myself from that negative situation. I wasn't rude. I wasn't disrespectful or anything. I just extricated myself. I left, and I called my support system. And she gave me a redirect. She said, looked at his picture. He was sexy and fine. And then all of that was like, I can create something with this. This doesn't have to be in my head, this traumatic situation that made me leave Plenty of Fish. I did leave Plenty of Fish after that.
Everybody's gonna know about this traumatic experience.
Yeah. I never went back to Plenty of Fish and tried to go on another date on that site. I was done. I was done with that site. I'm on Facebook dating, but I hardly ever check it. But I left all the other sites too. I was like,
Facebook have a dating app?
I'm done.
Yeah, Facebook dating there is a Facebook dating. Wow. But so you could take any situation and try to find a silver lining in it. And that is my story of taking that surprising catfish situation and turning it into something that people can laugh about and we can all get joy from.
I'm mad that he catfished. Like, not that he catfished you, but he didn't even put like a picture of himself and like try to just Photoshop it. Miss, you gave me somebody else's whole picture.
Yeah, there was nothing about him that looked anything like it was a whole different person. It's completely a different person.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, before we get out of here, I want to shout out our sponsors one quick time.
Me?
I got you. Shout out to the gallery each and every Tuesday on CaribbeanPowerJam.com. Shout out to TL Mac Fitness. Catch them this Thursday on Evening Rush Network. You already know what it is, 8 to 9. Shout out to Plush Vodka. I gotta go get me some plum. Definitely in the need of it.
I got my bottle, but you can't have it.
Oh, word? That's all right. I want some watermelon sangria from Rainbow, so I ain't worried about it.
I got that too.
Shout out to Sayings by Butter. You already know she does all the apparel for the network. She also does apparel if you need. So just definitely hit her up. Shout out to Plush Apparel.
I'm about to say, don't hit Butter up. She on vacation right now.
She on vacation right now until August 9th. So yeah. August 9th, y'all can all hit her up. Shout out to Plush Apparel LLC. If you in Greensboro, North Carolina, or High Point, North Carolina, you see the country come out of my voice. Make sure y'all visit the store. Greensboro is up and running. Please go visit the store. Tell them the Evening Rush sent you. Shout out to Gear Up on J Mac Lane. Also got some hot Evening Rush gear. You can definitely cop those spandex, ladies.
I ain't
So
get mine
definitely
yet.
check that out. It's
Dawn.
in the works. I got you. You already know. I be moving. I be shaking and moving.
I'm watching
Shout out
you.
to a cause, a concern, a solution network. She got two great situations coming up. She has a father's situation on August 4th, and on August 28th, she's having a back to school drive. So make sure you check out both of those events. Excuse me. I'm sorry. August 21st is the back to school drive. The Queens of NYC will be in the building, so definitely check that out. Shout out to Envious Creations. You already know the best brownies in the world. I just need one more. Just one more.
One more brownie. One more. This is
One
my
more
last
brownie.
one.
One more
No,
brownie.
that's what you said. This is my last one. This is my last
This is my
one.
last
This is my last
word.
one.
I think that's how I gained all this weight from the
That's my
brownies.
last one. My last one 7
Right.
times.
And once again, shout out to the great Martine Felton, man. Go to martinefelton.com. She's getting ready to drop a lot of great knowledge on everybody. Make sure you subscribe and definitely jump on that situation. If y'all want to catch us, you already know what it is, man. Go to the Evening Rush Show on Instagram. Dawn, the Evening Rush, or the one by Rainbow, if y'all
That
need a
is not my
massage.
personal page.
But they
I
can
don't
go
know.
get a massage.
Why you got that up there? That's not my personal page. That's my business page.
What?
My personal page is The Only Rainbow. Hey, Aisha. You're late. Yes, you are.
Always, yep, late. But we're going to turn that into a positive because you're getting ready to find out some more steps. So, as always, I say, how do y'all want to go out before we leave? I'm going to start with you, Ms. Zen. How would you like to go out today?
Okay, well, I guess please check out Zenergy, Zennurgy. We are on all streaming platforms: Pandora, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you can find your podcast. You can check out my merch on laughzandlyrics.com/shop. So that's LAUGHZAND lyrics.com/shop. And just follow, subscribe, share. We're trying to produce more positivity, spread positivity. That's the whole idea. So may you walk in Zenergy.
Amen.
I got to drop a bomb after that one.
That's right. You need to drop a bomb every time she talks. Every time she finishes talking, drop a bomb. Just knowledge.
Rainbow, how you like to go out?
I just want to say thanks for tuning in, guys. I want to thank Zenashe for being our guest today and giving us 2 beautiful poems. That first one was amazing. That second one was good. It was good too, but a good laugh. That first one was very inspirational.
Thank you.
I just want to thank you for being here. And I want to thank myself for being here. And Dawn, you for being here. And for us just doing the show. Dawn, you want to tell the people where our new situation?
Yeah, I definitely got that. First of all, I got to shout out to everybody for checking in. I appreciate you. Shout out to everybody that's been going to the eveningrushnetwork.com. Shout out to everybody that's been checking out all the shows on the Evening Rush Network. We are now doing our own radio platform on Zeno FM, where you can hear shows, by random at all the time. So you'll hear any of the old shows, any of the new shows. It's like basically having our own personal radio station. So shout out to us. You already know. You can also catch us on everything. Pandora, iHeartRadio, Google, Apple, Spotify, this one, that one, and the third. Because we're everywhere now. So I shout out to all the networks that we're on. And once again, make sure y'all definitely go visit the eveningrushnetwork.com. If y'all missed any show, you can watch it all in repeat. Also, shout out to the new show, Pimp Television, starting next August 4th on the Evening Rush Network. That is going to be hilarious. Shout out to
Look, I'm like, I can't wait for it. I don't know what it's about, but I can't wait with a name like Pip TV.
Yo, it's a positive show. Don't get it twisted. It's a very positive show. But shout out to Mr. CEO, the Show Off, and Miss Nicole Mack. Can't wait. August 4th is definitely gonna be crazy. So on the way out, I just want to say once again, I appreciate everybody that tuned in. I appreciate you, Mrs. Zane. I'm not gonna chop it up. I'm sorry, can't do it. You are amazing, and I appreciate you. I want to apologize for all our missteps because we've been trying to do this show for a minute and we just kept missing each other.
Look
So,
here,
but
it was
I look
supposed
at
to
it
happen just like
when
this.
it happens. That's what I was just about to say. God made it when
Gotta
it was
turn that
supposed to
negative
go.
into a positive.
Always.
Yes.
And it was at the perfect time because I needed that positive energy. So definitely. And congratulations again for being number 25 on SoundScan. I'm definitely.
Thank you.
We definitely trying to get there. We trying to get there. So once again, I appreciate you all. Thank you for listening to the Evening Rush Network and the Evening Rush Show. And if y'all can't turn a negative into a positive, y'all got problems. I'll talk to y'all later, man. Holla at your boy. Oh, and we going out again, as always, with my boy Fresh. Appreciate you, bro.
My nephew told me I'm a king and that crown fitted. You can catch me in